below. For today's art project, you're going to need some scissors and some colored paper. And that's it. No glue for this one, not if you do it right. So I am using 4 different colors, but you only need at least 2. If you don't have colored paper, one of them can be white, and you can color the other one yourself, or you can paint them, anything you want to do. But you do want to pick whichever paper is going to be your main paper and fold it this way. So this is hot dog style. Make sure it's got a crease. It doesn't have to be a hard crease. And then what we're going to do is take our scissors and cut as straight of lines as you possibly can. If they're not straight, your project is going to be a little harder. And this is important. You're not going to cut the whole paper apart. We're just going to cut them until we get about that far. I've got about 1 finger left. Maybe for you, if you've got small fingers, 2 fingers. And then you're going to cut your paper all the way so that you have a fringe. Try and keep them as even as you can. And remember to cut in a straight line. If they're starting to get a little too short, make sure you fix that. Go all the way. This is going to make what we call our weft. Okay, and I have 1 more. And you'll notice how I'm holding it steady and holding it tight the whole time. And now when I let go, it looks like this. Okay, you'll know it works because if you fold it, if you roll it, it makes like a really cool lantern. But we're not making a lantern, we're making a weaving. So I'm going to take that paper, I'm going to fold it backwards in the middle so that that crease is kind of gone. And you don't have to fold it very hard, just folding it the other way, bending it the other way so that it's nice and flatter. Then you're going to take your color that you want, and we're going to cut strips. If you have a paper cutter at your house that cuts nice, even, straight lines, please use that. I have a paper cutter at school, so my friends who are going to do this at school will have strips that are cut nice and even, but a lot of us don't have them. So just be careful if you're using multiple colors. Ooh, I can see my colors bending. If you're using multiple colors like I am, you can hold them together as you cut. That will make sure your strips are the same size, and that's really important for this project. And another good tip, if you are using only 2 colors, you'd need to cut up the entire piece of paper. If you're using 3 colors, so you've got 2 that you're holding together, you only need to cut half the paper. And if you're using 4 colors, so you're holding 3 pieces together like I am, you only need to cut 1/3 of the paper. I'm going to do 1 more just because I think I'm going to need 1 more. And these aren't straight, so my project's not going to be perfect because, again, I didn't use a paper cutter, but they're good enough. So now I have a whole bunch of strips. Now we get to do the fun part, which is the weaving. So I'm going to tilt my camera. And you can see my paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our strip and we're going to lift up some of these little pieces, and we're going to go under every other one. So over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. And it should go all the way to the edge. You'll want to make sure you push it as far into the crissy-crossies of the paper as you can. See how that looks? And if it's in there nice and tight, you should be able to lift it up like I just did without it sliding. Now, since I'm doing multiple colors, actually I want to do purple. I'm going to pick my next one, and I'm going to do the opposite. So since I went over on my blue, I'm going to go under on my purple, lift it up, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. I'm using my fingers to kind of see my finger in there, do-do-do, to kind of nudge my paper to do what I want it to do. And it'll probably be slower when you do it because I've done this a lot. And you probably haven't. Nudge it, nudge it, nudge it as tight as you can. And my paper's not perfect, so this isn't going to be my very best example, but I'm excited to see how well I can do with what I've got. Next is my pink. This is a really fun thing to do with hand-painted papers. And it gets a little harder. If it's starting to get hard, here's a good tip. Move lower down on the page and do the weaving that way. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Okay? And then let's slide it up. We want it as tight as we can get it. The tighter it is, the better your project is going to look. And we can already start to see that color pattern building. See how it's making a checkerboard? That's what we want. It's doing it on the back too. And then I'm going to use my blue. So my pattern has started over. Over, under, over, under. You might find some tricks, but this is important. You can find tricks, but don't use any shortcuts. Don't say, oh, it'll be okay if I just make one little mistake so that it goes faster. Let me show you what happens. Let me show you what happens if you make a mistake, all right? So I'm going to do it correctly, and then I'm going to go over with 2, and then under. So I just made a mistake on purpose, okay? Now I've got my mistake, and I'm going to keep weaving, keep weaving. I didn't realize I made a mistake yet. And let's do And now, when I push this up, do you see how I have right here at the beginning, it's kind of loose? That way, when I hold my paper and my project together, it's going to wiggle and I'll lose the pieces. They're going to slide right out. The blue and the purple will slide out. Plus, this doesn't look as nice. So if you make a mistake and you catch it early on, you can pull the weaving until you find where you made that mistake, and then you can fix it from there. But you might need to pull the whole strip of paper out. And you know what? That's okay. It might frustrate you, it might take a little bit of extra time, but it's gonna be okay. It's important to remember that we learn from our mistakes. And my friends who've done this project before, they can all tell you, yeah, it's frustrating to make a mistake, but you don't usually make the same mistake multiple times in a row because you've learned. So, at this point in time, I'm going to pause the video so that I can get going and keep working on this. And talk to you again when I'm a little closer to the end. Okay, friends, I'm almost done. If you take a look at what I've got so far, it looks, you might even look at that and say, Miss Hendricks, you finished. But I didn't, because can you see how loose these ones at the bottom are? If I shake it a lot, they might even wiggle a bit. We don't want them to wiggle. So first I'm going to tighten. I'm going to make sure all of my strips are tight. So I'm going to slide them. See how I'm sliding? I'm using the back. I'm using my thumb to slide them down. And make sure that they're nice and tight. It's a little easier on my desk, so I'm going to do that. I'll go like this so you can see it really nicely. Make sure with my fingertips that they're pushed up, 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 all the way as high as my strips can go. And now we're really seeing a lot of that black space, aren't we? Up, 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 as high as my strips can go. Up, 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 up. Okay, and I have room for one more. Plus a lot of room over here because my strips aren't perfectly cut. I've got room for one more pink, looks like, with my pattern. Oh, I actually messed up my pattern. Look, I have purple, pink, purple. Okay. That's all right. I still think it looks pretty. I'm not going to worry about my pattern. But I've got room for one more pink. And this is important. When you get to the end, it'll be kind of tough to slide it in sometimes. Of course, my pink isn't giving me any problems because it doesn't want to be a good example. But when it's tough to slide it in, you might have to use your scissors and cut a little bit more of your paper. And if it's still not working, you might have to use a teeny tiny bit of tape just at the top to hold your papers in nice and secure. Oh, and look at that, Miss Hendricks made a mistake. That's not good, is it? Now the pink and the blue can slide on top of each other. Completely messed that one up. Told you everybody makes mistakes. So now I'm going to do it correctly. And it is a little bit harder. Since I'm doing it right, it is a little bit harder. That last piece is tricky. So if it gets hard, it means that you are getting to the end of your project. And you need to keep going, keep persevering, right? So that you have a finished weaving that you are proud of. This should take you a little bit of time. It should take you 2 weeks, probably. That's my hope. If you finish faster than that, then you can do little designs on your weaving if you want. I've had friends draw on these little boxes. Take a look at how pretty it is on the top and bottom. Decide which one's your favorite. And really be proud of yourself because this is really cool. And my favorite part is I didn't use any glue at all, and I can shake it. And my paper's not going anywhere. That's cool, huh? That's why we make baskets and things like that out of a weaving technique. It makes it nice and strong. So I hope you learned something fun, and I hope your project looks great. I'll see you later.